On the night of 11th of June 1962, three hardened convicts broke out of the maximum security prison on Alcatraz Island and escaped in a boat they made from stolen raincoats. Officially, they were never seen or heard from again. However, many people, including the families of the three escapees, believe that they did get away that night and have lived for decades on the run. The ringleader was seasoned criminal Frank Morris. Frank had been abandoned by his parents at the age of 11, and by the age of 13, he had already racked up his first criminal conviction. Throughout his teens, he was arrested and charged on multiple occasions for armed robbery and drug offenses. In and out of the correctional facilities throughout his youth, Frank was serving a 10-year sentence for a bank robbery at the time of the escape. Frank's accomplices were the Anglin brothers, John and Clarence, and Alan West. The Anglins came from a large family of seasonal agricultural workers who traveled up and down the country picking fruit and vegetables. Dirt poor, the two brothers turned to crime at an early age. First being caught for breaking into a service station at just 14, they started robbing banks and other businesses after their first brush with the law. They were both sentenced to 35 years after being convicted of robbing the Columbia Savings Bank in Columbia, Alabama. After repeated escape attempts from Atlanta Penitentiary, the pair were transferred to Alcatraz in 1960. Alan West made the last member of the escape party. A serial offender, Alan had been arrested over 20 times before finally being imprisoned for a car theft in 1955. He transferred from Atlanta Penitentiary to Florida State Prison. Alan made his unsuccessful escape attempt and wound up in Alcatraz in 1957 as a result. By the time they were all incarcerated in Alcatraz, the four men knew each other well, having all served time with each other in several occasions in other prisons. After they were all placed in adjoining cells where they could talk at night, they hatched a plan to escape. Under the leadership of Morris, the four men planned to tunnel through the walls of their cells, build a raft, and escape the island by sea. After collecting discarded saw blades from the prison workshops and metal spoons from the dining hall, they crafted a drill from a vacuum cleaner motor. They used their improvised tools to begin widening the holes around the ventilation ducts under the sinks in each of their cells, concealing their handiwork from the guards with painted strips of cardboard. To hide the noise they made drilling through into the unguarded utility corridor behind their cells, Morris would play his accordion during his music hours in the prison, an hour set aside each day for music to be piped into the prison as a method of calming the prisoners down. Once they could fit through the holes, the men set up a makeshift workshop in the empty top level of their cell block. Here they made the raft that they would use for their escape, as well as sets of life jackets. The raft and the jackets were made from stolen and donated raincoats, carefully stitched together and sealed by melting the rubber on the hot pipes of the workshop. When it came to covering up their absence when they were in the workshop, the men ingeniously constructed papier-mâché versions of their heads from soap, dust, toilet paper, and toothpaste. The heads were made to look realistic with paint from the maintenance workshop and real human hair collected from the floor of the prison barbershop. They were placed on the prisoners' pillows, while clothes and towels were stuffed under their blankets, in the shape of their bodies. Any guard looking in would see them sound asleep in their beds, when in fact they were on the top level building a 6x14-foot rubber raft and panels from scraps of wood and stolen screws. Finally, on the night of the 11th in June 1962, the raft was ready and it was time to initiate the plan. West's hopes of escaping were quickly scuppered when he realized the cement he'd used to reinforce the concrete around the vent had hardened, preventing him from getting through the hole he'd made. By the time he managed to widen the hole again, his accomplices had gone. He went back to bed. Meanwhile, Frank and the two Anglin brothers made their escape up a ventilation shaft to the roof of the prison, and their escape was nearly foiled when they made a loud noise breaking out of the shaft. But luckily, the guards who heard it decided not to investigate. With the coast clear, the three men used kitchen pipes to descend 50 feet to the ground and climbed over two 12-foot barbed wire perimeter fences. They headed to a shore on the northeast part of the island where searchlights could not pick them out. They'd inflated the raft using a modified concertina stolen from an inmate, and at about 10 o'clock, they pushed off and headed in the direction of nearby Angel Island. Officially, at least, they were never seen again. The alarms weren't raised until the following morning when guards failed to rouse the three prisoners and entered their cells to discover the dummy heads. A huge search operation swung into action involving both civilian law enforcement and the military. The land, air, and sea surrounding Alcatraz Island and beyond were extensively searched over the next 10 days. The Coast Guard reported finding one of the prisoners' paddles on the 14th of June off the south coast of Angel Island, and workers found the wallet containing details of the Anglins the same day. 6 days later, shredded rubber believed to be from the prisoners' rafts was washed up on the shore near the Golden Gate Bridge. The following day, a deflated life jacket was picked up by a prisoner boat floating 50 yards from Alcatraz Island. These scattered remnants were all that was ever recovered of the men and the tools they'd used to escape. Despite no bodies being found, the FBI quickly concluded that the three prisoners had drowned. From the first year of the men's escape right up until the present day, there have been plenty of people who say the FBI was wrong to pronounce the men's dead. As early as Christmas 1962, various members of the Anglin family claimed they received cards and postcards from the brothers. The two men's mother received a bunch of flowers sent to her anonymously every year up until her death in 1973, and her funeral was allegedly attended by two unusually tall men wearing heavy makeup. Family members believe they were John and Clarence Anglin attending in disguise. In 1989, one of the Anglin brothers, Robert, claimed two men turned up to view the body of his dead father, stayed for a while, wept over the body, and left. In the same year, two women contacted Unsolved Mysteries to say they had seen Clarence Anglin and Frank Morris on a farm near Marianna in Florida, though no trace of them could subsequently be found. Finally, in 2018, the FBI confirmed that they had received a letter allegedly written by John Anglin. In the letter, Anglin revealed that both Morris and his brother Clarence were dead. The remaining prisoner said he would hand himself in exchange for medical treatment. The FBI could not confirm the letter's authenticity, and they never heard from the writer again. Was this the final word from the last man standing of the 1962 escapees? The FBI formally closed the case in 1979. The U.S. Marshal Service, on the other hand, plans to keep the case open until 2030, when the men will all be over 100 years old. So, did Frank Morris and the Anglin brothers manage to escape from one of the most notorious prisons in the world and go on to live for decades as wanted fugitives? The answer is we'll probably never know for sure. That was all from us today. For more riveting videos, make sure to subscribe. See you in the next one.